color science, color profiles, color space, log, Canon colors, Rec 709, sRGB. Do you ever feel inadequate because you don't understand what these terms mean? I've been there, but I know that having a basic understanding of what these mean can and will help you with the quality of your films. And instead of getting caught up in a technical conversation where you're like, I know what that is, you'll finally be able to get it. So let's break it down. The confusion stops here. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just set aside all of the nerdy stuff for a moment and only concentrate on the technical parts of color that we actually need to know? That's a no-brainer, right? This way, you'll know what camera settings to use to get the highest quality. Today, we're gonna talk about the 3 things to know about color as it relates to your camera: color science, color profiles, and color space. Let's start with color science. In this day and age, every camera manufacturer has its own color science or special color recipe. It's their secret sauce or the image processing they use to make the images from their camera look the way that they do. This is why a Canon and Sony look quite different even if all the other camera settings and setup are the same. Many would argue that Canon produces the most pleasing skin tones and ARRI the most filmic look, while Sony and Red may technically be more accurate. Some cameras try to stay more true to reality, while others tend to embellish the image more by making the skin tones more rich or a roll-off in the highlights more similar to film. All of this means that it can be subjective on which camera you choose. So I recommend that you watch ungraded footage from each camera maker, and then if there's an option to download the footage, I suggest downloading it and grade it to see which you like the best. To summarize color science, you can kind of think of choosing different cameras like choosing different film stocks. Now let's jump to the next subject of color profiles. If color science is the general look of a camera, then color profiles are kind of like the built-in color effects. Again, each camera maker is going to make its own set of color profiles. Sony, for example, has S-Log 2 and 3, Cine 4, and HLG. ARRI has Log C, Panasonic has Vlog, the list goes on. You can group color profiles into 2 main branches. Those that give you a more standard look, going for a more true to life look, and the others, log profiles, for more flexibility in post. Log profiles give you less contrasty and saturated images for more dynamic range and detail, which means less clipping in the shadows and highlights. The way I like to think of log is it's kind of like sculpting a piece of wood or ice where you have more information and data that you can carve away until you get down to your masterpiece. Like with color science, which profile you choose depends upon your personal taste and how much time you have in post to grade log if you go that route. So I recommend that you play around with different color profiles to find the one that best fits your shooting style and grading skills. Either a more standard profile for quick turnaround times or a flat log profile for more dynamic range and detail. Finally, we get to color space. It's when we get into the color grade that we start to encounter terms more often like Rec 709 and Rec 2020. And you're probably like, what the what? So let me distill this down simply. Cameras and monitors aren't able to capture or reproduce the whole spectrum of light. In other words, they're not able to produce all the same colors that we are able to see as humans. So color space is sort of like the range of colors that can be captured or reproduced by different devices. These ranges can be mapped to a graphic. So for example, if a monitor is able to reproduce 100% of the Rec 709 color space, that means it's able to reproduce this area of the color spectrum. Where we start to see impacts in our filmmaking is, say, when your film is meant to be shown on a Rec 709 monitor, but the monitor is not able to show all the colors that your camera was able to capture. Colors that fall outside this boundary are either lost or distorted. So let's boil this down to what you actually need to know. It all depends on what you're delivering to. Rec 709 is for broadcast, sRGB for the web, and Rec 2020 for HDR delivery. So if you're delivering to the web, just make sure that your project timeline and monitor is set to and calibrated to Rec 709 or sRGB. And from there, it's just a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So if it looks right and it looks accurate on your monitor, Don't sweat all the other technical details. And hopefully this gives you a baseline that you can go off of. And if you also want something as simple and straightforward to color grading as this explanation was on color, I want you to introduce you to CinemaGrade. CinemaGrade is a color grading software that works as a plugin inside your Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro 10, or DaVinci Resolve timeline. It has ACES color management developed by the Academy for managing all those different color spaces and color sciences. But best yet, you can do on-screen color grading where you can literally pick and click things in the scene to change their color. Combined with a false color feature, Lightroom style controls, and real-time previews of LUTs, there's no easier or faster way to color grade your films in post. You'll find a link for CinemaGrade in the description below, and you can try it out free with a 7-day trial. And if you want to continue learning more about color and get greater control over the look of your films, then I invite you to sign up for our free 1-hour online color grading workshop where we dive into the fundamentals and where you'll discover the kinds of tips and tricks you don't normally find on YouTube. I'll also include a link for the workshop in the description. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it clears up some of the things for you. For more videos like this, click the subscribe button and then the bell to be notified of our next one. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.